Hi, and welcome to my first tutorial here. We are going to be talking about normalization and data normalization in this first tutorial. So the process of normalization, we're going to start at what it means to normalize, what we should expect, then cover the normal forms, the first, the second, and the third. In between, cover the transitive and partial dependencies. Once we do that, we got normalization like pretty much figured out. So let's get into it. We have a lot of work to do, and to the computer. Now that we're here, we can start off with learning what normalization means. Now, as with any learning, you start off with Google. So what is normalization? The normalization is the process of bringing or returning something to a normal condition or state. This might not sound intuitive to you, but let's look at what relational database management system produces, how database looks within these systems, and what are the components it has. So I made this small illustration. So the RDBMS, and normalization is only for relational database management systems or databases that are made within these. So we will always have some tables. So here I said they are called table 1, table 2, table 3, table 4. And since these tables are regulated with the relationships between them, we need to know what kind of relationships can exist. There is one-to-one, one-to-many, and many-to-many, to be short. Now, I think you already know what those relationships look like. But since one-to-many and many-to-many are pretty common, I'm just going to go over them really fast. So what this means is that each T4 can have multiple T1s, and that each T1 can have only one T4. Now, when it comes to a more complex relationship, such as a many-to-many relationship, which is between table T1 and table T2, we have something that separates them. This table, which separates many-to-many relationship, you can call it a join table, you can call it a table that breaks apart many-to-many relationship, I call it like that. It serves the purpose of storing a unique key of its own, and then storing the foreign keys that regulate this relationship. Now, when we get all these tables in some kind of a database, and we mash them just into we join them all or mash their data, we might end up with something resembling an Excel sheet, where we have an Excel sheet or one and only one table now that is all these tables combined, that has attribute 1, attribute 2, and all the attribute. But within these attributes, of course, there are the foreign keys and the primary keys. Now, when it comes to the process of normalization, you're going to get something that looks like this. Now, if we just scroll down, because we don't need the rules yet, you will have the attributes that describe your database, and this is the whole database. So you shouldn't look at the beginning table as a table. So you are looking at a whole database, and that's where the definition comes handy. So you are returning something to its normal condition or state. This here, the state where we have table, is the normal one. This isn't. So we are normalizing to get it back there. So that is the process of normalization. That's what we're going to be doing. And let's begin. Before that, I would urge you just to understand the data. Understand the data to the best of your ability. When we see there are some pet attributes, there are some owner attributes, there are some procedure attributes, the quantity, price, the visit date, I can already tell that this data is going to be separated into a number of different tables, and these tables have meaningful relationships between them because they regulate what each entity, what each owner, what each pet can have, and what are the numbers or relationships that govern them. I hope that makes sense. So spend a couple of seconds just understanding data so you know what you're getting yourself into. Now, as for the first normal form, we're going to just follow the rules. Each cell should contain same type of data. Don't forget, nulls should be replaced if possible, and each cell should be a single valued attribute. And columns shouldn't have repeating names. Duh. Yeah. Columns don't have repeating names, so we got that covered. Now, when it comes to null values, this is kind of a way that I've experienced reports can be made. So reports for Rover the dog, which is 12 and has an owner Sam Lee, and Sam Lee has a phone this, has had these visits and procedures done to it. So this is all belonging to Rover. So as far as null values go, we will just copy this data beneath. Now, I will do that, and we are pretty much done for nulls. Let's see just if yeah, that's correct. And whoops, I copied the date. Let me just correct that. Okay, now this should be done for nulls. Now, what else? Each cell should be a single valued attribute. Once we have the table cleared of nulls, now we're going to look for the multi-valued attributes. Multi-valued attributes mean that in one cell, a specific cell, there is two or more values, and it shouldn't be like that. Every cell is made to contain only one attribute, and we should separate it out. So if we find multi-valued attributes, we're going to get a new row, copy all the data from it, and make the other row into that data that was causing the multi-valued attribute. So let's see. I see that we have the owner listed as 1. This could be first name and last name. So let's split it up. Okay, we got that sorted out. So what are the next attributes that have multi-value? Do we have them? Now, I see one more, and it is only in this case where we have 2 procedures and 2 prices. Quantity is 1. So I'm going to assume that quantity for both of these is 1, and the price goes as the 10 is 28. Let me see if I have 10 anywhere else. So 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, 10. Nope. If I have 25 anywhere else, it's 32. Okay, 32, yeah. So 25 is 32. And this then belongs to the first one. So let me just grab or make another row here. And I'm going to copy all the information. And yeah, quantity also. Now, as for the price, I'm just going to copy this part. So 30, 32, or I'm going to retype it here. And here, I'm going to copy this part. Of course, I lack the ID, so I'm going to just write it out. Okay, here we go. Also, here we can see that the quantity doesn't affect the price. So this is probably price per the procedure or per the item. Now, one more thing we didn't mention is that these procedures are also multi-valued, because here we have IDs and then we have the procedures beside them. Now, it is needed that we separate this out too, because these are all multi-valued attributes since they contain the ID and the name of the procedure. So let's do that. Okay, now that we have done this and we have eliminated all the multi-valued attributes and we've checked that we have no nulls left, our case was such that we could resolve nulls, but if you can't resolve nulls, then you might even want to delete that row, but we can talk about it more on a case per case basis. However, with the multi-valued attributes, if there's 2 values within one cell, you separate them out and do what I've shown you here. Now that we got this covered, we have the first normal form done. We don't have to do anything else, but the thing I would urge you to do is make sure you understand what you need for the next steps. And the next steps include partial dependencies and transitive dependencies, and they both need to be separated out. So what I would do at this point is start analyzing for these dependencies, both partial and transitive, within the first normal form step, because I want to know what my dependencies are before I go into the second normal form. But since this video has taken quite a bit of time, I'm going to separate dependencies into their own video, and I'm going to explain them there. If you know what dependencies are, you can go and watch the second normal form video and the third one. But if you don't know what dependencies are and how they work, I urge you to watch the next video in this series and figure out what are partial dependencies, what are transitive ones, how they work. And when you figure out what they are and how they work, it will be very easy to separate them out and just have a great normalization. Thank you all for watching. I hope you learned something, and see you in the next one.